Let's talk about AI because you either love it or hate it. Probably if you're in this demographic, you're here, you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a very busy person and you probably really appreciate AI or you're really curious about it. So let's talk about 4 ways that I've used AI in my business in this past month, and I've used it multiple different times. So I've paid for a couple of different AI services, but the 2 that I pay for consistently, one is an AI voice generator, and I've used that for short films that I've used in some of my resources. And the other one is ChatGPT 4, I think it is. Whatever the paid version of ChatGPT is, that's the other thing that I pay for. And I've really found it to be helpful. I cannot say definitively whether the paid version of ChatGPT is better than the free version, but I've used it to generate images, which I'll talk about here in a second. And this doesn't even scratch the surface, I'm sure, of what it's capable of doing for your business, but here are some of the ways that I've used it. So number 1, I've used it to write the About Me section on my TPT product page. So I'm not great at writing About Me's, and before I really didn't worry about it because it was kind of hidden in the tab inside of your store. It says, like somebody has to click over there and really be interested. And I noticed today that like where there's supposed to be like an ampersand sign, it's just like some weird code. So I've definitely got to fix that. But I did this for my new store and I'm about to do it right now for my original math store. I don't love to write About Me's because I feel like I end up kind of just over editing and trying to figure out exactly what to say. Like, does this sound too braggy? Do I sound qualified? Like, I kind of overanalyze it. And so I've just given it a very simple prompt to say, can you write an About Me section in 100 words or less, or I think actually I ended up culling it down to like maybe 80 or 60 words for my storefront so that the vast majority of the text could go into that section. So there was no like read more button, or they didn't have to like read more to finish a sentence. And so hopefully they would stay at the top of my store. But when I did this for my new store, my pre-K store, I said, can you write an About Me section in 80 words or less about a homeschool mom who's very busy and creates preschool resources to help other moms who are really busy keep their toddlers learning and engaged, or active and engaged, right? And it wrote an About Me section, and then I had it write a different version. I was like, can you write a second version for me? And then from those 2 versions, I kind of like picked and choose different sentences that I liked, put it together. It was very, very quick and easy. So I love it for things like that. I have also used it to write my product descriptions, and I actually really liked the product descriptions that it's turned out. I can't remember the exact prompt that I gave it, but I said, can you write a product description for this resource? I did this for preschool, and I told it which keywords to put in the first couple of sentences, or the snippet. Essentially, I said these keywords need to be in the first 2 sentences of the product description, and this resource is for this teacher to accomplish this task with their student, and this is what's included in the resource. And of course I had to do some tweaking, a little bit of editing, but honestly it was very minor and it did a really great job of making it very skimmable. Another thing that I've used it for is I've used it to write blog posts, and I don't have it write the whole blog post. Honestly, I'm the kind of person, I over edit whenever I write something. And back when iMessage had like the bubble and you could like see somebody was typing. In fact, it may still even have that. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to it anymore, but it used to like make me so nervous because I knew on the other end, if they were watching, it'd be like type, 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 stop. Type, 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 stop. Type, 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 stop for like 15 minutes and then I would end up sending like 2 sentences. So this makes it a whole lot easier for me to have a good starting place, and it goes ahead and kind of like writes an outline for me. And a lot of times I'll tell it like, hey, these are the 5 points that I want you to write, and it'll write something for that 5 points, and then I can go in and I can just kind of like edit things. But I just find that even if I end up changing the whole blog post, it takes me less time because I have a starting point, and it's not as like, okay, how do I start this off? How do I section this? Do I need to make a transition? I don't really have to think about that so much. I just go in and edit out the parts and make it sound a little bit more like me. So I really like it for writing blog posts. Let's talk about another way that I have used it in the last month. And this is probably one of my favorite ways. I've used it to create graphics. Let me tell you, it's not going to replace clip art anytime soon because it's not cohesive at all. I have not had luck with that, but there were a couple of like really odd clip art pieces that I needed that would be like, I would have to pay somebody to do them custom because nobody would want that. Like, for example, in a little short story about ants, I needed an image of an ice cream machine that was like overflowing, and it was able to create like a little image of an ice cream machine overflowing, and it was fine. It's not great. I'm not going to, publish the book or printed or anything like that. So it served its purpose. It worked for what I needed it to work for, and I was happy with it. Another thing that I've had it create recently is create something fun for teachers. So during the summer, I like to do fun things for my audience. I like to do fun things for my audience all year round and kind of cut the monotony of still making sure that I'm sending them things that are on topic, that math teachers would be interested in. I'm not sending them information about my vacation or anything like that, but I do like to make things fun and have fun distractions. So I'm really gearing up to push my Adventurous Joe line for my math store. And so one of the things that I did is I had it create a Where's Waldo, like a couple of like Where's Waldo type of pictures. And I took Joe and a couple of like math symbols and I hid them throughout the picture. And then I sent it to my email audience. And you guys, if you want your audience to respond to you, send them a game. I'm about to do this with my pre-K store because I'm having a hard time getting them to interact and engage with me. And so I'm going to do something like this for them. And I think sometimes it's harder when you're starting a new store. You're like, oh, I don't really know these people very well, but like math teachers, I know math teachers. Math teachers are fun. They're a little bit nerdy. They like stuff like that, right? And they're not really afraid to do something because it's like kiddish. Do you know what I mean? Teachers in general are not really afraid to do something because it like might be kiddish. They play with kids all the time. They're dealing with kids all the time. It's fun for them and they're not afraid to admit that they love a good Where's Waldo, you know? And so I did it and I said, Where's Joe? And I'm about to send another one out. I sent them to, in fact, so many of them joined my summer pop-up Facebook group, which by the way, if you are toying with the idea of doing a Facebook group or doing Instagram, this is a really great way to kind of test the waters and to see whether or not you'd be able to commit to it, whether or not it's going to get a good turnout, is to do a pop-up group, like a pop-up Facebook group or a pop-up Instagram or a pop-up TikTok. And you can send them over there and say, hey, we're going to be here for this short period of time. And then if you decide that you want to keep it going, you can keep it going. But in this case, like I'm probably not going to keep it going, but it's a summer pop-up group. And so I posted another one in there and so many people like joined the pop-up group because I told them that there was another Where's Joe puzzle in the pop-up group. And I did this recently with a different type of puzzle too. Like I sent them I had a line of resources that had emojis in it. And so I sent them some emoji puzzles and they loved those and they interacted and engaged with those as well. So send them a quizzes, send them a Kahoot, send them anything like that. I promise you they will play the game. They will love it. They will reply to you. They will love you forever. And so I've used ChatGPT to help me create these little Where's Waldo type of thing puzzles very, very simply and very easily. And then I just pop the graphic into Canva, added in my math symbols, added in Joe for Where's Joe. So if you're in my niche and you're a competitor of mine, please don't like try to copy that exactly, please, because I'm trying to be really original and I really want my stuff to stand out. Hopefully no one would do that, but just a couple of ideas in terms of like just playing games with your audience. And you can use ChatGPT if you have the paid version to create like sort of custom puzzles or custom games or something like that for you if you give it the right prompts. So yeah, it's super fun. And those are just 4 ways that I've used it in my business. So I've used it for nurturing my audience, having fun with them, building hype for my resources. And then I've also used it just for everyday writing, for little things inside of my business and even big things like product listings. So I've used it for a lot of things. And that's just what, I don't even say that's what I've used it for in the last month because I've used it for more than just that in the last month, but I really love it. So if you're looking for a few ways to get started with AI and a couple of things that you can do very quickly, that's it. And if you do come up with a game to play with your audience, please send me a message and share it with me because I would love to hear about it. I love all the game ideas. Or if you're an RTA, post it inside the Rebranded Teacher Facebook group because I kind of had a prompt about that in the last month. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Leave a comment down below, give a little like, something to let me know that you're here and that you're enjoying the content. So I'm going to see you right back here in the next video.